Howdy, Banger pals. Blayne Smith welcoming you to another Overkill Reviews, Banger's weekly metal review show. This week, let's get in the gunk. Yes, it's the new album from Sanguisugabogg called Hideous Aftermath, out today, October 10th, on Century Media Records. Sanguisugabogg formed in 2019 and released their first demo on Maggot Stomp before being quickly snapped up by Century Media for their full-length debut in 2021. For a variety of reasons, from their sound to silly name and logo to smart merchandising, the band has had an outsized amount of attention in comparison to their output. I mean, we're only on album number 3, and them and Frozen Soul are already voted a modern death metal band your normie friends are most likely to inquire about. What's going on with that? What's with their silly, I can't read their logo. Can you read these? Their 2 full lengths have generally been received as, yeah, they're all right. They're all right. So is album number 3 when they finally live up to that status, or is this time the band robbing the metal coffers blind? Let's find out. For my money, Squiggly Wiggly's strongest asset was their ability to bring a variety of the more punishing fringe death metal subgenres and present them as straight death metal, make them a little more palatable. I've never felt they were a brutal death metal band. While they certainly draw heavily from that world, they did so as a death metal band. This time, they've expanded even further. Of course, they're going to dip into brutality on a track like Felony Abuse of a Corpse. Shocking to find out that Felony Abuse of a Corpse is a track that dips into brutal death metal. What's less expected is them going industrial on Repulsive Demise. What's slightly unfortunate is them going a little deathcore, like the jarring opening to the album in Rotted Entanglement. Completely unexpected is them turning half of Paid in Flesh into a full-on sludge track to hit that nearly 8-minute song mark run time. In Microcosm, they perform sludge and industrial quite well, even if the sludge sounds like something I've heard 1,000 times. There are so many sludge bands every month, dear God. In the context of full album, or sometimes even full song, there's no real blending of these things into a cohesive whole, though. Paid in Flesh is what you expect from the guys for the first 3 minutes, and the song just stops, and then they start playing sludge. It could be a different song. I could have gotten a mistake in my copy sent to me, and they could have been blended together into one. Like, if they were separated, I would not be surprised. So we're left feeling a little disjointed, and that's before we get to the fact that there's not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. No, wait, it is 5. There's 5 guest vocalists, and they are on 5 different tracks. That is half the album. I don't understand this urge. Frozen Soul did it on their last record, too. Yes, have a track with a homie, but it shouldn't be half the record of homies. We're not making European folk here. We want a reasonable number of people on these records. When I open the door to an album, 10 guys shouldn't get out. We're not clowns. They're not clowns. I'm literally a clown. As a whole, this almost sounds more like a compilation than a record. Anyways, here's a clip of a Sanguisugabogg sludge song. Didn't think I'd be saying that. surprising shift from the last record to this one is production. This toilet ain't a grimy rest stop John no more. This has been scrubbed and sanitized, but please still do not eat off it. It is a toilet. I don't care how clean it is. The problem with this is that grime can be a useful tool that spreads around and fills in some of the thinner parts of songs. Under the cold fluorescent lights in the washroom ceiling, we get to see there's a portion of Soggy Bottom Boys songs that don't have a ton happening. This is also a big contributor to my disjointed feeling from the last point, because the production tends to alter slightly to suit their style that they're playing at the time, with, say, the production of an industrial section sounding pretty spot on for industrial, but the rest of the record doesn't sound industrial, which means, you know, that's changing as it goes on. So it kind of lacks character, and just like it used to fill in the cracks in songwriting, it also used to color things to sound boggy as opposed to sounding basic examples of that genre. This is what allowed them to integrate a variety of sounds and still sound like one band. I really feel this discrepancy after the brief reprieve offered by the closing 5 minutes of Sludge. It is produced fittingly for Sludge, so it sounds really nice and warm, and I was subconsciously dreading pressing play on the album again, because that warm, full sound of Sludge to the robotic opening of those typewriter click drums is a challenge for me. Which is such a massive shame, because Cody Davidson can play the hell out of them drums. I sucked them off in my review of their last record, and I'm sucking them off again here. Cody is still far and away the most talented member of the band, and every track has a standout moment from him, whether it's his taking a more subtle opportunity to stay in constant motion, like on Ritual of Autophagia, to a completely smothering of a song like Semi-Automatic Facial Reconstruction. He seems to always be looking for the most creative way to solve a problem, which is all the more impressive in the style they play, where repetitive blasts and tinnitus-inducing ping snares can be the start and end of some drummers' repertoires. This is part of the reason the production sticks in my darn craw. So why am I so folksy this review? My number one in the band gets kneecapped at times by a track like Rotted Entanglement having its opening smothered by the sound they choose for the kick, but then we get an absolute highlight in his tom work 2 minutes later in the very same track. He's a national treasure of a drummer. His kneecaps are important. Anyways, look at how much he can do while not overpowering things when the production is on his side. Look at how much you can do when State Farm is on your side. No, obviously not. We don't have ads here because we have a Patreon campaign. You guys give us a couple bucks. We get to do whatever we want over here with complete independence and impunity. Ha ha ha. We put up a bunch of content over there as well for you as a thank you for the support. We just put up a Raw and Uncut with Scorpions.
Wagner's heavy metal.
This is part of your culture.
Wagner's heavy metal.
Maybe the first heavy metaler.
That's right.
And hey, if you don't have a couple bucks, we understand. Just a subscribe, a like, and a comment goes a real long way. I don't love this album. I think that's clear, but I do need to say that I don't think that's a lack of trying on Sanguisugabog's part. This isn't one of those cases where a band is lazy and just churning out the same thing over and over and over. Honestly, if they were doing that, I ironically like this record more. I'd still have to give it a critical review, but from a listenability perspective, I would be enjoying myself, definitely. The grimy production, gone. They've tried to incorporate more style. Songs are longer and more elaborate. All this does say, we're working, we're trying, we want to be a better band than on our last record. And yes, it's not entirely their fault that I just hate all of these changes. I'm a hating ass little bitch. You can't account for that. I do really think the new direction in production is a mistake, though, at least right now. Call it a crutch if you want, but a crutch can help you get around, and the old production was doing some schmoozing for them. On the other hand, while the style integration isn't as smooth as I'd like, they did make me like an industrial sound on Repulsive Demise, so kudos to them for that. That's not an easy thing to do. That's an experiment that bore fruit, which I definitely think we can chalk up as a win. It's got sort of a Blue Dust Nord, but as a death metal band vibe to it. Have a listen. Feels like their most serious record, and I don't know why. Why is this a super serious band now? We've got a serious album cover that's kind of black and white and bland. Why? We've got a serious album runtime, 47 minutes, which is a big why. The only goofy thing they're doing these days is going on Sam Hyde's show, which is quite a big why. That's not the type of goof we like. Subtle joke for the Canadian viewers. Looking back at my review of the last record, the negatives I took from it, I feel more negative about here. I am willing to accept that maybe it's just a matter of taste and they're just not really for me anymore. Maybe they never were. Who knows? But I'm still the one reviewing it, and reviews are biased. Grow up. It's humans interpreting art. There is no way to do that objectively. You're insane. 2.5 out of 5 skulls that are the dot of a question mark. Why? So, what did you think of Sanguisugabogg's new record? Are you on board? Are you off board? Were you ever on board? Will you ever be off board? Let me know in the comments below. But before you do that, of course, I have... Beep beep, it's shout-out time. Just because I'm a negative Nancy doesn't mean I ain't coming with some gifts. If you want some death metal this week that's approved by me, Vile Apparition's Malignity on Saco Records is fantastic, and I don't hate core being mixed into my metal. It's just a certain type of core, and Turn Cold is a crossover band, so they're mixing hardcore and thrash on Violent Breed. Upstate Records also comes out today, and there you go. There's 2 records that, you know, if you wanted some death metal, you got some death metal, and if you wanted some core, you got some core. So there you go. I'll catch you on the next one.